Wow, another day in the universe.
Oh, another day, man. We made it. 2 weeks.
Another trip around the sun.
Yeah, it's been a dandy here. Here we are.
Wow, the state of everything.
Just shifted it up here, trying to keep it fresh. That's why the surroundings changed once again. It's okay. Don't be thrown off.
The state of everything is strong.
I would agree. For the most part, probably.
That's good.
It's just a guess. We're always just guessing it. Nobody ever knows.
It's all just a gas.
That too. Both.
So today I have this Angel City Brewery IPA. It's in memory of Los Angeles for the hop inclined. If you are so hop inclined, nobody's forcing you to be, but if you are, this is for you. It's Angel City Brewery. It's a wonderful brewery out in DTLA. If you're DTLA, you know. So yeah, go and check it out if you're in the Los Angeles area. How about you, Thias? What are you sipping on today?
Well, Xander, I'm so glad you asked. Same old, man. Should I be embarrassed that I keep drinking the same, brand of beer here? Technically, they're different beers. It's all Stone, but there are 4 different IPAs. It's the only time I drink them. I just it just makes it easy. Then I don't have to think. I just kind of pull out a beer whenever I come to this podcast.
Yeah.
I think I have 3 more, and that might actually, work out perfectly, depending on how it all shakes out, where we do these podcasts in the future. But
yeah, so supposedly beer actually negatively affects your pineal gland, which is supposedly what opens up your third eye. So there's this theory. I don't know if it's scientifically backed up. Something to probably look into, but beer blocks your pineal gland, or whatever this is called. That is your way to accessing consciousness. So if you only drink beer and you don't expand your consciousness in other ways through whatever, could be just meditation, could be going on walks. Beer does suppress some kind of inner passageway to the cosmos, or maybe it doesn't. Maybe it does the opposite. We don't know. I like it. I think it's good. I think it is a way towards a higher consciousness in some ways, in moderation, which is also something you should do in moderation, according to one of the greats, the great minds of our time. So yeah, it's beer's great. I like beer.
Yeah. I do too. That was just some study you came across. It was like a real thing, though.
No, I mean, this YouTube guy said it once. So I don't know. You shouldn't really listen to people on YouTube. Yeah, so I wanted to look into it further, but I just had a beer instead.
Yeah, well, it's easier sometimes just to have a beer instead for other things.
Have a beer about it.
Yeah, as the saying goes. That's another one.
What's going on in politics since I've quit? Because I have quit politics now. I'm very much higher consciousness now. I'm way more better off. I feel mentally better. So now that I've quit, I feel great, and I'm just curious, what is making you depressed still?
You can never quit it. It's you say that you've quit it, but it's impossible to escape, man.
Politics, didn't quit it.
Politics is everything, unfortunately, for better or worse. But I don't even know what's happened in the last 2 weeks. It could be anything, man. You could just
anything.
I don't know. I mean,
this is why I've quit politics, and I've soccer and love are the only things that I really care about now. So we'll start with the soccer side. The Women's World Cup has really kicked off. It's thriving. Women's soccer is at an all-time high. Fantastic for the ladies' game. How have the
U.S. been?
So the first game the U.S. played, they played like a bunch of Thai amateurs who were just abysmal at soccer. I don't know how they qualified. and the U.S. just ran rampant over them, 13-0. And there was a bit of a controversy because the U.S. celebrated every goal as if it was like they just won the World Cup, and they're literally playing players by like goal like 10. It's like they're defending like traffic cones at that point. It was so sad to watch. Such a huge. I mean, I think their point was that like, countries need to invest more in the women's game, and I get that. But at the same time, it's also like you're always taught like sportsmanship, basic sportsmanship courtesy is, once you score 6 to 7 to 8 goals, you pretty much stop celebrating. You don't necessarily have to hold back, but don't like they had like team-wide celebrations. It's like, all right, like I get it. Like they're in a lawsuit with U.S. Soccer for gender pay discrimination. They've been going through a lot off the field. They are the best team in the world on the women's side. But it's one of those things where the men's side, the World Cup, makes something like $6 billion, the last one did. And the most that a women's World Cup has ever made is like $130 million or something. So, you can say all you want about the gender pay gap and how, it is real in some aspects. The problem that makes it mythical is like when you bring in sponsorships and which makes more. The men make more. More people watch men's soccer. Maybe you can improve marketing on the women's side. Maybe you can invest more in development on the sporting side of it. I'm sure you can. I know you can. But at the same time, they're not the same. And so this whole lawsuit against U.S. Soccer, while I get what they're trying to do as pioneers in the women's game, it's kind of overshadowing. It's becoming this feminist issue while they're playing games in the World Cup. I feel like we should just focus on them playing the games, but they're light years ahead of anybody else in the world, the women. So because of things like Title IX and because of just promoting the game in this country more than in Saudi Arabia, women can't even drive yet. So it's like we're a little bit ahead of the game in terms of women's rights.
I mean, I think that is, I don't know, if they're celebrating or there's like seventh to 1 or something, 7 to
0. It was 13. They're still like going insane. It's soccer,
Yeah, I mean, I don't. I agree. I don't know. That does seem to. I mean, there's like I think the principle of what they're doing and trying to achieve, and maybe they're playing for like an American audience who's watching on TV, but like there's also the other team there, and like they're the other team's fans, and if you're there does sport. I don't know. I feel like it can get sometimes, but that's demoralizing the other team that has to get like it rubbed in their face, like 13-0. So I don't. That does seem a little, but it does. I think you're right, man. I mean, who else like is even near? Like who's second, third, like closest to the United States in terms of athleticism and actual skill?
I don't know. What are your theories?
No, I'm saying like in like World Cup standings, like who's second or third.
Yeah. But I want to hear about your perspective of the male gaze and who you imagine is the the most feminine of women's soccer teams. What are your theories?
Who's the most feminine of women's soccer teams?
Or athletic, I guess.
I have no idea. I have no idea.
Question on you. Like, I don't know. Just like, what are your theories as a politics kind of guy? Like, what countries do you think there'd be a better women's soccer? Obviously, the U.S. is at the top.
I mean, I feel like in Europe, their soccer culture is better and stronger than ours. I would assume Europe. I don't know. I mean, do they all correspond with like all the best men's teams are probably the best women's teams? So Brazil and like Argentina and shit. Like,
yeah, I mean, so you really just projected your Eurocentrism with that comment there, but
probably.
Very Eurocentric, little bit fascist. I'm just kidding. No, I mean, so. Yeah, so we'll say. Have you heard about this? The OK symbol now is supposedly a white supremacist like thing. It's like everything is getting reappropriated. I don't know what to follow anymore. We used to do this and you used to look at this. Like if it was below your waist, you'd get punched, right? Anyway, What were we talking about? Yeah. So yeah, like Sweden, like the Scandinavian countries have been also very good at women's soccer because they've treated it seriously for a couple decades. I think because it's socialist, I think they have similar things like Title IX in their women's athletic programs. Japan has been good, but yeah, Germany's been very good. China's been good. China is a good country for women's soccer.
Nice.
Argentina,
Yeah.
Brazil's
Yeah.
good, but it's super interesting because on the men's side, the U.S. men kind of struggle to be relevant. Um, but it's a different game, right? I mean, 200 countries take men's soccer seriously. It's really only probably about 50, honestly, really take women's soccer seriously. And so, in that aspect, I agree with the lawsuit and the women's perspective of, look, federations have to take care of their women equally to men. I understand that. The problem is when you look at sponsorships and overall money that that goes into these games. Yeah, maybe you have to put more money and invest in the women's game, but there isn't as much interest. Like there isn't. Feminists will get mad at you for saying this, but it's true. I mean, the men's game, more people want to watch men's soccer, and I think the women can do a better job of marketing. People can like put more money into it, but it's like you have to gauge interest. It's like you can't push a dubstep record for the number one like song on the country charts if that's not what country fans want. It's like it's got to be a little bit of an organic thing, but you also should have equal resources, equal access to resources in terms of men and women in every federation, I believe, in every sporting federation, because it's only fair.
I mean, I think ultimately too, it's there's like the way that you describe it. I mean, I haven't watched a single game, but the United States is going around and beating other teams 13-0. Nobody, bless you. There's nobody else who's even close, to being competitive. And I think that if there was some rivalries, if there was, I mean, I think it's maybe like other programs in other places around the world need to, like, if it's hard, I don't know. I mean, I think that you get some rivalries, you get, I think, I mean, maybe there's that now, and I'm just totally ignorant, and I've never watched women's soccer, so I also never watch men's soccer, so I'm probably a poor example. I mean, but that's what I would say. Is it like if I mean, I feel like everyone pays attention for like the Olympics. And I guess like I don't. World Cup is what it is, man.
It is what it is. And, you sound like a little bit of a misogynist, to be honest, that, you don't really care about these women's issues. That's fine. You only care about what Big Daddy President Trump is doing. I know you believe in the patriarchy like everyone else. And so let's just get into it because that's what you're interested in. What has Big Daddy Trump done this week? And has he, what kind of injustice has he obstructed today?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Where to talk about? I mean, Iran is Iran is more of like an intellectual thing, but the red meat politics of his campaign just kicked off. So you could go one of two ways there, depending on how you're feeling and where your attitude is. Do you have a preference?
Yeah. So I have a preference. I have a preference that, I think that.
Which one? Which one do you want to talk about? Iran or his campaign launch?
I think both are great for democracy. War with Iran and Donald Trump launching his campaign. That's a lot of sarcasm, by the way. I think it's all really bad. And it's all dark, and I think Trump is the favorite going into 2020, and I think we're probably going to be at war with Iran in 2021 or sooner. So, yeah, I think things are pretty bleak. Yeah, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I don't think It's complicated, man. I mean, it's going to be interesting to see how far Iran wants to test. I mean, they've kind of slowly progressed up, escalating this thing. For a couple months ago, or many months ago, they blew up a tanker of some sort that was, I don't know. There was it wasn't filled with oil. I mean, they're stepping it up, right? These most recent ones were with people on it, and I don't know. So they want I think both Iran and the United States are both trying to get Europe to be on their side, essentially, and Europe has good reason to kind of try to do both, except for now Iran is we might enrich some more uranium, which is exactly why we had the the nuclear agreement in the first place, was because nobody wanted this to happen. Nobody wanted Iran to get a nuclear weapon. But at the same time, too, Europe can be like, America, Trump, you're a fucking idiot. You pulled out of the Iran agreement. What did you fucking expect? Why are you asking Iran to comply with this deal that you yourself pulled out of? You're stupid. But also, fuck you. And, maybe they'll come over to our side because they don't want Iran to have a nuclear weapon, but they won't do it happily. I mean, it's kind of like I don't know. But at the same, I don't know. I think this is what you get. This is what you get when you pull out of agreements. And so now, we have to hope that Iran doesn't, keep escalating things, try to reach another deal, which is probably impossible because what deals has this president done with anything? Yeah, and it's all messed up, man. I mean,
I feel like the less we focus on and the less we talk about, the less likely there's World War III. I think that this whole Twitter nonsense now, everything escalates so much faster by just stupid little word wars. And now the president does this. I mean, it's dude, let's just stop instigating people. Let's stop pissing people off. Let's just not go to war. I'm anti-war. I feel like your boy Biden and all these people, I don't know. That's why I'm going to go for the candidate that's you know what, straight up, we're not going to any wars unless someone attacks us. Maybe you could say that, Russia did that, whatever. It's what I'm saying is that's the only time that we should engage. I don't
yeah.
Wasn't even an American tanker. Wasn't it a Saudi tanker?
Yeah. Something like that.
This isn't. I don't care. I don't want to talk about. I don't want to help this issue escalate into something that is bigger, man. I feel like I don't have time for war, dude. I don't have time for it. I don't want to deal with it. I want to get the hell out to the middle of nowhere where the only war is one I have with roadrunners or whoever eats my flowers on my succulents. It's dude, I don't care. I hate Trump. I hate the leader of Iran. I hate all these people. They're all horrible people. They're all evil, man. And I'm not trying to be a conspiracy theorist where it's oh yeah, the elites, but it's true. Screw all these people, man. I believe in revolution. I'm just not sure how to get there, And I don't want to say too much because then I'm going to be labeled a radical and a fucking whatever they, a dissident from the tech, kleptocrats. So look, I mean, you guys do your thing. I'm going to watch from afar. I'll watch the world burn from afar, but what do you want me to do about it? Tweet about it? You want me to tweet about it? What am I supposed to do? It's
well, yeah.
On CNN? What do you do? I don't know. Tell the president to shut up? It's I don't know.
It is. Well, I mean,
man.
I think it's you vote about it, probably.
Yeah, you got to vote about it. But
It's the only at the end of the day. But that's why
People
it's like,
don't follow their promises.
yeah, but my God, I mean, you just, I mean, this is where this opens up the picture into everything else. But like, it's just you vote, you understand that this guy is a terrible person. Is going to be, he will be considered the worst president in American history thus far. I mean, it is just, I don't know who would be is going to be worse. So anybody else could be better, and then then you go from there. Basically, anybody else except for Tulsi Gabbard, Bernie Sanders, and Joe Biden. I'm not. I don't dislike him for the reasons that you dislike him for. I dislike him, or no, I don't dislike him. I just think that his entire platform and message is 100% flawed, in the sense that his entire pitch is that he wants to work with Republicans and he can get things done, and he was the one, his past, and he can, because he's been around, that, like, hearkening back to better days. And like, I just think that's the most naive thing. I think Barack Obama ran on that message in 2008. He was going to be above politics, and get shit done. And he was stonewalled by McConnell for fucking, like, after 2010, when the Tea Party came in, just obstructing everything, getting nothing done, trying to fight his agenda every step of the way. Government shutdowns over. So there's just, you can't. It's not the Democratic candidate that's going to, the Republican Party needs to, like, change. They need to just totally change, and they need to get their asses kicked in this entire election, just the entire ticket. And it needs to be somebody who can fucking get shit done and be understanding and, like, work across the aisle and everything, but that's not their pitch. That's not the thing that, like, because again, if that's the entire message, then the Republicans are going to have to, I feel like they're going to have to obstruct in order to prevent, unless they just change their minds. And I don't know. I don't see what's going to have the Republicans. I think that you need to convince people on just an entirely different message and a platform, and talk about the issue themselves, and not, like, make it all about working together and kumbaya. You have to make it about the issues that people care about, and make a point about, like, how shitty the Republicans have done. What have they done? They've done nothing. He's an imbecile. The president's an imbecile. The debt is exploding. Iran, there's, like, people, there's about to, are we going to go to war with Iran? That sucks. North Korea is getting along, is advancing with their nuclear weapons program. I don't know. There's a lot of other issues that you can focus on, but it's like, we just need to, like, have some sanity, and people who have a plan and can motivate the most amount of people. I'm platitudes, but, like, somebody's going to break through, and I think a lot of people are going to invest a lot of their hopes and dreams on one person, and I hope that that person actually does shit. And Republicans are just shamed. They need to be shamed into just total. It's just a rotten party right now. Marco Rubio and Lindsey Graham up on the stage. Marco Rubio, it's happening. Donald Trump, 2020, it's happening. What an embarrassing. I hope that he can. It doesn't matter.
They were up there. They were up at his campaign. They were at his campaign.
Yeah. Thanks. You see him watching it, sitting in the crowd. They just look like they're lost.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I think Bernie Sanders and Tulsi Gabbard are definitely the best candidates on the left. So yeah, I think they're going to do great. I think I'm looking forward to the debates. Andrew Yang, also top three for me. I like what he's bringing up.
Yeah,
Yang Gang, 2020.
yeah.
So yeah, I think it's good. I don't know about Warren. I don't know if she can beat Trump. I think he'll just obliterate her as like a Pocahontas. It's so people are so dumb in this country.
Yeah.
Like,
What's so hard though is that like she, I think she does like the longest track record in a lot of ways. I mean, she does have like, I mean, I find it kind of like I buy into the whole campaign like she has a plan, and like call me like crazy or whatever, but like I like the fact that like the presidential candidate in the year 2020 has some plans about and by the way they're pretty well thought out. I'm not saying like I like them all and that they're all like be all end all, but I like where she went with she might have gone a little bit too far in some ways with Dodd-Frank and the consumer protection, the bureau. I mean, I think that was good. It needs to be cleaned up. I mean, you could go on some other issues, but I don't know, man. I think she has a lot of good ideas about. I don't know. Trying to revive the middle class and paying attention to instability that still lingers in the financial markets.
isn't it a waste of time though? I feel like this is all a waste of time. All this like we're talking about these big issues, these big things. It's like I feel like instead of just like getting hung up on like oh how bad everything is, now we have to like change the whole system and we got to like elect this candidate, whatever. It's like why don't you just do work in the field that you want to see like the most change? Like I feel like we're just like we're filling our minds with all this nonsense that just turns into like filtered tweets and like it's nonsense, dude. It's all just bickering and stuff. It's like instead of just like complaining and having all this information, it's like what are we doing about it? We're just talking about it on YouTube. It's like this doesn't matter, dude. It's like you got to figure everybody's got to take personal responsibility. You can't just blame the president for like not being happy or like not feeling fulfilled or like oh everything's so horrible, like the injustices of the world are just too crushing to my soul. It's like dude, like no they're not. Like you just don't know what the fuck to do with your life. Like that's the thing. It's like none of this matters. Like you can change one aspect of what we've talked about today through anything, through working for nonprofits, through doing NGO work, through writing, anything. It's like I have way too many things I want to do between now and the 2020 election to get like hung up in the minutia of it all. I feel like I did that in 2016 almost to an obsessive point, and there's going to be something that comes from that, like a project that it's kind of on hiatus now, but it's a project because I got so immersed into it. But I don't know if it's like looking ahead over the next year for 2020 and just how shitty all these candidates are on the left and how horrible the one is on the right, obviously. It's like, I don't care enough, man. I just don't care enough to get dragged down into the mud, It's like when they go whatever, it's like, I'm going to go whatever. It's like, I don't know. It's like when they go low, I go high. It's like, I'm going to just like stay on my high because Bill Maher said it really, he said it spot on this last show. It's like, this is going to be like the dirtiest election that we've probably ever seen. It's going to be really, really dark, man. It's like I don't know how much I want to invest into. Like I'm going to vote. You have to vote, right? That's the key.
Yeah.
It's like how much time do I want to spend on like these? Like it's going to be so dirty, man. It's like I don't.
Well, I think
it's bad for my mental health, to be honest.
Yeah. Well, we all have
a lot of liberals have to acknowledge that because everybody's so soft. All these snowflakes on the left. People's feelings are going
right too, man. It's on the right too. Everyone goes both ways.
I know people's feelings will be hurt. It's like dude, just like let's acknowledge that politics is politics, but it's actually not everything. I mean, it is and it isn't, right? It depends on how you approach, daily issues.
Yeah, I think. I mean, we all have our part to play. It's simple stuff. So, I mean, I will say that, like, everything I just said about Elizabeth Warren. Like, I think I might just be exposed. That's all. Like, she's just like emerging through the Twitter universe more so than like other people at this stage, which, you know, so, I mean, I think maybe I should just hold off and refrain from making any choices until like later on. I mean, look at the debates, try to like study the issues a little bit more, but like, I don't know. I think like being cognizant of like algorithms, the whole process of what's being shared, you know, the accuracy, legitimacy of, I mean, deep fake videos are like going to start popping up on, you know. So I think it's just being properly or appropriately skeptical about where you're getting your information from, and how you share and interact on social media, and maintain your sanity, but like study the issues and don't get wrapped up in, I mean, right now, I think this is just, we're looking at it like, you know, 50, how many years from now, when like internet and our relationship to it has matured, it'll just be interesting to look back. I mean, if people look back and be like, man, those were the wild days where, you know, you had all this economic unrest and extreme, you know, wealth inequality, and social media was new for the first time, and you know, these kind of monopoly type companies, Facebook and Google, and you know, they had so much power, and they just made their money off of like making people into violent extremists, and you know, blowing shit up. And there was a crazy president, you know, who was encouraging it through the medium. And you know, hopefully we'll have survived whatever's, you know, coming down the pipe here, global warming and nuclear shit. But you know, that it comes down to, I think, one of the things that's happening right now is internet literacy, and how we express our politics, and it comes down to corruption in politics too. It's a lot of, you know, it's not everyone votes, and they're trying to suppress people's voting. But that's why you can't think about it all too much, to your point. It's like, you gotta stay sane.
I can't just like sit here and get bummed about like a potential nuclear war. Like, what does that do?
Yeah, you it doesn't do much worrying about it. You just I mean, the root problem, I think. You just choose the one problem that's the most, that, you know, that probably all the other problems flow from, and do that consistently. You know, in the midterms, vote in the midterms. That's where it is too. You know, like, you got to vote in the midterms really matter. You know, every 2 years, there are elections to, you know, reps and Senate, and those people have power too. And I mean, maybe just only pay attention, set an alarm on your phone for once every 2 years to pay attention, to do a little research on the issues, and vote, and maybe spend all of 1 hour, 2 hours. I mean, you should do more. It's good to pay attention more, but I'm just thinking like people who are so burned out and don't want anything to do with politics, that like, still, it's just important when people vote. You know, the more people, the younger people, if you vote when you're younger, you know, your future is maybe less fucked, because older people are voting and they're dying and they're old and they don't know what's coming, and they're not tuned in to the most current, you know, shit that's happening and progressing on. So, but when you're young, you have every other issue and thing that you're doing. I don't know, man.
I have a proposition. My proposition is that people should stop following politics on Twitter and social media, and just chill, relax for a bit, read a book, read more books. Like, replace time scrolling through Twitter on your phone. Twitter is the angriest place. It's so annoying. It's so toxic, and it's so bad for your mental health. It's like we need to radically, like, I can only speak for myself, but I know that, I'm kind of transitioning into a next chapter, and I think that this next chapter is definitely going to be cutting electronics time in terms of leisure time, and kind of stick more to like analog, like books. So there's knowledge in books, and it's not toxic, and it's not about current politics, because current politics suck, dude. It's so annoying. It's really just dumb. It's just gotten really stupid, and people are very stupid, and books aren't. Books are not stupid. Books are smart. They make you smarter. So people should read more books and get off Twitter more. I'm not saying delete it because it's fun. It can be fun. You can use it as a fun outlet, but it can also be incredibly bad and toxic, and screw Jack Dorsey. So
yeah. I endorse that message.
Yeah.
I definitely am on it too much.
Yeah, it's an addiction. It's social media addiction. You have it. I have it. Probably everybody has it. So
I absolutely do. And I tell myself, well, I make excuses.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think I don't know, man. I just finished this biography. I don't know if I told you on Kerouac.
The Kerouac book?
I just finished it.
Nice. What's it called for all our listeners out there?
I think it's just called Kerouac, a biography by Anne. I gotta look it up. Allen Ginsberg had the foreword, but
Legends.
yeah, it was just I'm almost embarrassed, man. I think I enjoyed the biography maybe more than I did On the Road. I think that just means I need to reread On the Road and have more context. I just really liked learning about his life, and it's how he started what he started, kind of like how he did it, because it's amazing, but it's just interesting in like how that came to be. It wasn't easy, man. It got crazy at the end. Just with it, like alcoholism was pretty crazy, but what he produced and what he started, and he's just an interesting man. He's a really American figure. He was a great writer who changed this country in just in immeasurably profound ways. It's insane to think about that, how important he was to this country. And just giving it an idea, reminding it about an idea, updating the same idea, and it being about, essentially about himself, which is like amazing to think about. Like he made it about him. And it was just a brilliant way to, be a mirror on the country and just capture it so accurately.
Well, what's fascinating about him and what you just said, it made me think of this, how one of the geniuses about Kerouac is he is this very unique bridge between like the transcendentalists and gonzo journalism. It's like these guys in the 1800s who kind of wrote about like the connection to the land in this very American way that was very like the naturalist aspect of America, right? Not the greedy materialist, but the freedom, right? And then what you said about how he made it about himself, that's very gonzo, right? So he was like, the Beat generation was kind of a precursor, like a poetic form of what gonzo journalism kind of became in terms of this like flowery, descriptive kind of like very subjective view of very concrete ideas, right, or things. And yeah, that's what the Beats are all about. I mean, it's just I mean, the Beats are it's just they're about a lot of different things, and it's a very beautiful way of living, I think. And it takes a lot of what, was great about the 60s as a precursor to that, but it doesn't go so far into like the excess of what hippies became, right? It's like way more realistic, I think. I think the Beats vision of America is way more realistic than whatever happened in the 60s,
Yeah, I mean, they also had some. I mean, there was like
They're
definitely.
crazy. They're insane.
Yeah, they were great. I mean, there was definitely like Ginsberg might have had some like anarchical um, leanings. I
He's a
think. I mean,
communist.
they had some craziness too. Kerouac did not. I mean, what's really interesting is that's what Kerouac he had. I mean, I'm not an expert. I just read the one book, so I could. But I feel like he did not relate. I mean, he definitely didn't relate to the hippies really at all. I feel like once, like, even like the early 60s, I'm not sure how much. Certainly by like, what, 65, 66 is when he, or 68, did he? When did he die?
Yeah, he was dead in like 68, I think. 68 or 69.
I don't know. But he was actually, he read William Buckley, I think, or he liked him. He's the founder of the National Review, I think, which is like one of the foundations of the modern conservative, like movement, basically. That
Not anymore. I mean,
no, but that's where now it's changing. Trump is changing it.
Yeah.
But how far it goes, I mean, right now we don't know whether or not it's going to come back or
Traditional conservatism. Buckley's like a guy.
Yeah, this guy was like, I mean, he fiscal conservatism. Individualism. I mean, is very kind of libertarian and like kind of molding the libertarian, the national defense. I'm doing a really shitty job of explaining.
Well, Kerouac wasn't very political. I don't think he was very.
So these guys were very skeptical of, communism, and there was all capitalism. These guys thought Eisenhower was a communist. Buckley thought Eisenhower was a communist. He was, think he did. He was that far. So these guys were kind of, but Kerouac thought that the Russians. Kerouac thought the Russians had brought LSD into America to, like, he did it once. He had a bad experience. That's how he had a falling out with Neil Cassidy drove that dude's bus, the tie-dye bus, across the country, the acid bus. That was him, right? I just read that. Isn't that crazy?
Yeah. Yeah, he wasn't a big. Kerouac wasn't really a huge psychedelics guy.
Mm-mm.
Ginsberg was.
Yeah.
They were different kinds of poets. I think Kerouac was a really unique position as kind of being the de facto leader of like whatever the beat movement was. But he also was very careful to distance himself from it as well. I respect that about Kerouac, and I respect that he didn't get overly political. I think he was kind of scared of politics. I think he was skeptical of politics in general and its corrupting nature, and just the crazy time of what the 50s were, like post World War II. It's much like where we are now, post 9/11. I do see similarities between this most recent decade and the 50s. I think, massive upheaval, a social upheaval, but also like this kind of like this movement to keep things traditional. That's kind of like a faulty premise, I think, because America needs to keep pushing forward. I think the Beats are definitely, their philosophy is one to study more of, I think, going forward and see how we evolve with the times and how that philosophy kind of shifts as well, into where we are today. I think it's interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, forgot what I was going. Kerouac. I mean, what's interesting, he's a de facto leader. I mean, just because On the Road was so. I mean, that just like took the country by storm. Cliche, but yeah, I think what's it's really interesting though is that he wasn't like he really wasn't. He was they. I mean, I think a lot of people took Neil Cassidy and they thought, or what's his name in On the Road. Um, what what's it? Do you know what I'm talking? Like
I
Neil's?
just read the book. I don't remember their names
Yeah,
because they're pseudonyms.
but they attached Kerouac to him. I feel like dude, he lived with his mom like his entire life. Like he couldn't live on his own.
Dean Moriarty.
Dean Moriarty, yeah.
Dean Moriarty, yeah.
But shit, I'm gonna decline this.
Let's have a call on the show. State everything.
I don't know. Do we? I think that might be. I ended it, so I don't know if this could have handled it. I'm frozen. Am I frozen right now?
You are frozen right now. You're dead. What happened to? Okay, there you are. All right.
Yeah. So, but he lived with his mom. His whole life, and he was an alcoholic, and he just he wasn't this like eternally youthful vagabond. Kind of like his alcoholism just ruined his life in a lot of ways, and he died early. And maybe you could. I mean, it's an interesting. Ginsberg survived for quite a while longer, so it's not like Eugenius has to. It's kind of a morbid conversation.
Well, I think Ginsberg preferred like acid to alcohol.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, man. It's just an interesting. He's an interesting guy, and enjoy reading that book. But
amazing. Well, that's an incredible thing. What else? Do you have a closing thing here? Do you want to talk about Chicago politics as a way to close out the state of everything here?
I actually don't. I haven't paid attention to any updates from Chicago. I think I already said that they legalized weed, and finally.
Yeah, baby.
But I don't know anything else that's going on. Probably the financial. Just assume that still corrupt, and the financial predicament is just worsening every moment.
I love it. That's such a great city.
Yeah, it's the city by the bay, city that never sleeps. That Midwest city.
City of Angels. The Big Apple.
The I don't I don't even know what Boston is. What's
the Big Cheese? Beantown.
Beantown. Well, that's pretty indicative that I'm not going to live here.
Space City.
Space City.
Isn't that a city?
No.
Isn't that Houston?
Seattle's not like the needle.
The Space Needle. All right. Well, I think we've run out of amazing things to talk about in this fast.
What do you have to finish on? What's your finishing pocket of wisdom as you before you leave Los Angeles? Maybe forever, dude. Who knows? My gosh, dude, the possibilities
Yeah.
are just so endless here. The future, man, is now.
Getting out of Los Angeles, I'm gonna miss it. I love it here. It's the city of dreams and everything. And yeah, great. Love it. Fantastic. Life goes on.
So, what are you gonna miss most about LA?
This show.
Have you like, gotten food or something, or
Wait, what?
gone to your favorite spot and like,
Yeah.
you know,
Good here.
shed a tear?
Yeah, I'm gonna shed a tear. Mr. Ben Weinberger is gonna accompany me on my next journey across the states. And,
Nice.
yeah, we're gonna have a nice time. It's gonna be a good. It's gonna be a good week, of
So,
mind expansion, consciousness, learning of self, universe experiencing itself.
amen. 6 hours.
Dude, six to 80, something in between that. Yeah, it'll be good. We'll make it eventually. It's going to be a wild journey. One for the books, one for the ages, one for all time, even. So.
Yeah. Well, yeah.
So next time our many viewers will watch this, I'll be in Arizona, out in the desert.
Yes. And we all anxiously await.
I can't wait. It's going to be so great. Thanks for listening to The State of Everything and watching it on Anchor and any of your favorite podcast platforms. This has been a presentation from Xander, and
Yes.
it's 2019, and we couldn't be happier to have you join us.
And we love you, future AI overlords. Always remember that. Thank you so much.
Google, I love Carlos Maza, and I see his struggle, and I think you should definitely not ban me. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, AI overlords. We love you. You're my daddy now.